So behind me is a beaver lodge. Because those little critters have got themselves a pond going here, and we're going to check it out. Now, a beaver lodge, unlike a muskrat lodge, is composed of sticks. Muskrats, if you stumble on a muskrat lodge, you'll find that it's created with water plants. Like they use these reeds right here. And the lodge is going to be a lot smaller. Although I've seen them 5-6 feet high, they tend to be more vertical and less sprawling. So here's our beaver, and he's got himself a setup where what he does is he puts sticks and branches into the water on both sides of his lodge. And what these, sometimes they make one pile, sometimes two. And the idea is they do this so that in the winter, when the ice locks the pond, they're going to be able to have their munchies, and they'll come out under the ice and they'll access their pile of brush. It's not really brush, it's food. Think of it like they're going to the refrigerator, and they'll cut off a piece of stick and bring it inside, and then away they go. They're going to be eating their own dinner, and they're going to have dinner for their kits. I think that's what they call little beavers, kits. And that goes on all winter. They've got to make sure that they have enough forage under the ice to last through that anticipated winter. And it might be an ice lock that lasts 2 months. It might be an ice lock that lasts 4 or even 5. It's all about the winter and the length of the winter. And you'll see what they tend to do here. And these are beaver sloughs. That's what we call them in this area. And you can see this is like a canal that the beavers created. There's another one going over there. And they create this canal so that when they come out during the summer months and swim along, heading down into the woods to access the bushes and the water plants that they consume, because remember, beavers are vegetarian, they can be in the water and underwater. And interestingly, they excavate these canals. They'll come out and they'll use that flat tail of theirs and their paws to literally scoop out mud and put it on the sides of the canal so they can get long access to areas of the habitat they've created by building their lodge. And it's really something people don't realize about beaver. I'll bring you a video showing the process, because I know some beaver that are actually constructing it where I can get video of it. Beaver are a rodent. They actually have a fairly low reproductive rate compared to a lot of other rodents, but they're still going to reproduce. And beaver need space. And what they will do is they will create their lodge after they create a dam. Now the dam here is over on the other side near the road. So they'll build a dam, and then what they'll do is impound water, and that impoundment creates a field, killing a lot of trees, allowing light in, and then they'll proceed to gnaw away on the blueberry bushes and the various tree species that they enjoy eating. Now they eat most trees. I've seen them eat oak, and I've seen them cut hemlock and white pine. I don't think they really like those two that much. They typically are after ash and poplar and sycamore. But you know what? Willow's something for them when they have a headache, because that's where you get aspirin from, the bark of a willow. Yeah, they'll eat all kinds of wood, but they also have woods they don't like, and they don't like yellow birch for whatever reason. And I've seen them band, and you'll notice this if you know what a yellow birch looks like. I'll put a picture up here. You'll see them band a yellow birch tree, which means that they cut right into the living wood of the tree, all the way around the tree, and they'll deliberately kill yellow birch because, hey, beaver are no dummies. They know that yellow birch is taking some of the canopy, and they want that sunlight to make some of the tree species that they enjoy eating, right, grow. So they're all about sculpting the landscape that they live in beyond just creating the pond. And these ponds are cyclical. A beaver pond will be around for 5, 6, 10 years, and then the beaver abandon it and move on. Now this pond is right near a middle-sized river, and along this river are several beaver ponds. You'll find beaver in rivers and in ponds and in lakes and streams and big rivers too. And even on the ocean, beaver are all over the place. They're very adaptable. And they were food for America's native people. In fact, on some native reservations today, they still love beaver tail. And the month that they would hunt the beaver would be as soon as they generally here in the Northeast. December was the month for hunting beaver. But a year like the one that I'm filming at here would mean they wouldn't be able to do it until January. They need ice. So what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to crack a hole in the ice, a good size hole, 5-6 feet wide, an air hole. And then another native, and here in the Western Mass, we might be talking about Warnock or Pocumtuck or Minnemesset or one of the other tribal people that live in this area. And what they'll do is they'll attack the beaver lodge. They'll dig in. They'll find a weak spot. When you look at these beaver lodges, I can walk right up on this. You got to be careful. You can fall through these in the summertime. But they'll come right up on the beaver lodge, and they'll find a weak spot, and they'll dig on in. And, the beaver lodge is hollow. And the attack on the beaver lodge, look at the tracks all over the place. And I'm kind of feeling like those are fisher cat tracks. I can't really tell. They're older. But yeah, they'll crack right in, the native people will, attacking the beaver, who will then go out under the ice. And what will they do? They'll look for an air hole, because no, beaver aren't like fish. They can't breathe water. And what they'll do is come up in the air hole. The native people here, around the hole, there'll be 2 or 3 of them, and they'll have a hook, basically a sharp stick. And you can see where over here you have sticks that are growing, right? So imagine one much bigger than this, and all we're going to do is we're going to cut that off, or we'll cut this off. Can maybe make multiple hooks on the end of the stick if we want. So this is this dead? No, it's alive. Cut. If you take a look what I have here, I have a hook. If I sharpen the ends of these, I can stick that in the water and pull the beaver up onto the ice, which is what the native people did, and then they would club them. After which, they would enjoy eating that tail and probably everything, including the entrails, in stews and soups, maybe along with wild rice, or maybe sweetened with a little bit of maple syrup. The point is, they loved that tail because it was like a beautiful steak. And then they take that pelt and hoop it, preserve it, because beaver pelt is about as good fur as you're going to ever find. It's waterproof as it is, and it's warm, very thick, and it creates quite a problem over here in North America when the Europeans come. It leads to a series of events that it's pretty much forgotten by most people when they think about American history, and that is the Beaver Wars, where the Iroquois out to the west will, to satisfy their desires to get a hold of Dutch goods, and French and English if they could, they will begin a campaign against the native people all around them. First, they'll go west after the neutral, the tobacco, the Huron, the Wyandot. They'll go after these tribes as far as the Ottawa and the Ojibwe. And they'll basically systematically destroy these tribes so that they can access their beaver supply, their hunting area. Within a period of 40 years, the number of beaver in the eastern woodlands is going to plummet. And they'll even move to the east eventually, so that when we get to the 1640s, you're going to see the Mohawk coming east and getting into it with the Pocumtuck, who are also looking for beaver for the English colonies on the Connecticut River. So the beaver, he's minding his own business, doing his own thing, and, the native people for years used him as a food source and fur source. But then the European comes along, and the beaver and his pelt, which was used by the Europeans to create those big flop hats that you see in the 1620s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's a rage over there. You've probably seen the Three Musketeers and those massive hats that they wear with the feathers in them. Well, those are made of beaver fur. What that would mean would be you're going to be completely dry on a rainy day. That beaver fur made into felt, and there's a whole technique to doing it. It's not really hard, but you're wearing a beaver felt hat, and it means you're basically wearing an umbrella. You're not going to get wet. So a little bit about the beaver, and we'll have a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a lot more, because he's all over the place. And he's definitely a critter that will be influential in shaping the Northeast forest and the Northeast environment. Look at the white pines crowding this pond. And we can see that there's maple and there's some black birch. And the pond cycles. We go from having a beaver in it, beavers evacuate, and it'll grow up again. Generation or two later, another beaver family comes and builds the dam again. We go from beaver meadow to beaver pond to beaver meadow to beaver pond for thousands of years.